Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the spookiest podcast this side of the Appalachians, East Coast haunts. I am Samantha.
And I am MK.
And today we are doing part 2 in our little series about Salem, Massachusetts. So before we get into it, MK, is there anything you wanted to say?
Yes. I have gotten a couple of questions as to Sam and I's relationship. On our Instagram, and I actually had one person email me, so I did want to just clear this up. We're cousins that moved in together after college.
Yes.
And
cousins on our mom's side.
Yes.
Our moms are sisters.
And we just basically grew up together.
Yeah.
So.
And then we decided to live together.
And
then we started a podcast.
And here we are now.
So
that's that.
MK's a little younger than me. I don't know why I'm giving so much detail.
But
you know,
it's good because I feel
people
like our listeners are our friends.
Yeah, so I know. So
the people need to know.
Yes, if you guys are ever interested about anything else, let us know because it flatters me greatly.
Yes, me too. And we do have little bios on our website, so make sure you check that out. I think it's wix.com/East Coast Haunts. We haven't gotten a domain
Gotta love
yet,
Wix.
but that's coming soon.
That'll be next.
And then also, just really quickly, wanted to thank our Patreons, everyone who subscribed so far. I did want to give a special shout out to my sister Hope, who just subscribed today.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you, Hopi. She's a horror fanatic, so
yes.
No surprise there.
So thank you to everyone who subscribed to the Patreon, and also we wanted to thank everyone who has been leaving reviews for us.
Yes.
Because we've been getting a lot of really, really great feedback, some constructive criticism, which I appreciate, and some really great reviews in general. So
yeah, please keep them coming. It's most helpful if you leave them on Apple Podcasts, if that's where you're listening, but we'll take a review anywhere.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly. So wherever you feel the need to leave us a review, it's greatly appreciated.
Yes. So thank you guys for interacting with us, etc. Okay, Mary Kate, do we want to get into the haunted spot in Salem that we were starting with?
I really do. I'm very excited.
So, you guys know in our last episode we talked all about the Salem witch trials and about Salem in general. It's a very spooky place. And today we are going to be talking about the Hawthorne Hotel, which is a famous hotel located in downtown Salem that is quite haunted and has a very interesting history.
And Sam, haven't you stayed there before?
Yes, I have stayed there before. Like I think I said this in the last episode, but my family and I stayed there over Easter break 2 years ago. And we had a ton of fun. We didn't have any specifically spooky occurrences, but the hotel was beautiful. It was awesome.
Do you remember what floor you stayed on?
Yeah, I remember that we did not stay on the one, I think it's the 6th floor or something?
The 3rd and the 6th.
Yeah, whichever floor was the most haunted we didn't stay on, and we found out afterwards, and my mom was like, oh, we should have stayed on one of the spooky floors. But we do have, we'll put it on the Instagram because my mom for some reason took a video of my sister and I in the hallway. So we'll post that. But it was super fun, and it's definitely they've kept it old timey. I'll talk about this in a second, but it's from the 1920s, and you can kind of they've done their best to sort of repair things that need to be repaired but not fully renovate.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love it when places do that, where they don't take away the old charm, but everything's up to code.
There's modern amenities, but that old charm,
Love it.
So, okay, I'm going to get into the history. Okay?
Please do. I'm ready.
All right, so the Hawthorne Hotel was established in 1925, and it is right in the heart of downtown Salem, like I said before. It's only a 2-minute walk from the Salem Witch Museum, which is that famous giant, it almost looks like a church or a cathedral, and it's got those wax figures of the different people from the witch trials, and you have to watch a video, or you watch a performance of the wax figures. They're not moving or anything, but there's a voiceover, and there's a giant wax figure of Satan, and part of it is it's hilarious.
Oh my god.
It's funny in a kitschy way. But
yeah.
Anyway, so that's a huge attraction.
But actually, fun fact about the Salem Witch Museum is that today, the day that we're recording, which is the 27th of October, it's featured in the Google search bar. So Google search bar right now is Halloween, but on the side there's like a little icon, and it's the Salem Witch Museum.
Oh, that's so fun. That's
Isn't that
weird.
interesting?
That's very weird. That's today. Huh.
I know.
I guess because it's right near Halloween, but that's still a weird coincidence. So the Hawthorne Hotel is right near the Salem Witch Museum, and it's also right near a ton of these little spooky shops that are all around Salem. Because yes, they go all in on the whole witch thing.
I do kind of love that about Salem.
They've embraced it instead of trying to
really
like hide it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it could be something people are like ashamed of.
I have heard, however, from like Salem locals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying like I know Salem
I was gonna say
locals. No, I've seen on Twitter that sometimes the locals do get fed up with the tourists, but I think it's just the tourists that are like going there to make fun of it and like not being respectful to the locals that live there year round, because again, there were deaths that occurred here, like the Salem witch trials, like we covered last episode, is pretty tragic.
Yeah, they were. And
it's like a fun, spooky place to visit during the Halloween season, but you should also always have like a little bit of reverence for this
there's
place.
a fine line. There's definitely a fine line between like being interested in it and like
celebrating witchy culture and like making fun of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, continue.
All right. So yeah, lots of spooky shops, really fun place. And the hotel itself is named after Nathaniel Hawthorne, who is a very famous American novelist. His most well-known books are probably The Scarlet Letter and The House of the Seven Gables. And it's interesting because The House of the Seven Gables is based on another house that's in Salem. So Nathaniel Hawthorne is very intertwined with Salem and its history, and they celebrate him there. Interesting fact, Nathaniel Hawthorne is actually the great-great-grandson of Judge John Hawthorne, who is the infamous quote-unquote hanging judge of the Salem witch trials.
Oh my gosh.
And Judge Hawthorne would send the majority of his cases to the gallows, whether, you know, there was evidence or not of them being a witch, which most likely there was no evidence. But so he was definitely like a figure that is maybe not looked upon so kindly nowadays. Even though Nathaniel Hawthorne and Judge John Hawthorne have the same last name, they're actually spelled differently. So Nathaniel Hawthorne's name includes a W after the A, and the judge's doesn't. So this is because Nathaniel added the W to his last name after he graduated college for two different reasons. One was because when it was spelled Hathorne, like it didn't, and it was still pronounced Hawthorne, like it didn't match the way, like phonetically it didn't match the way you pronounce, like, because when you think, Hawthorne, I would think that was like Hawthorne, like Hawthorne, I don't know. So he added the W because I think he just thought it made more sense. But he also wanted to disassociate himself from his cruel ancestor, which I totally understand. If I had a really bad last name, or even like an embarrassing last name,
do you want to talk about having a rough last name that people think you're related to a monster?
Touche.
I think we talked about this last episode, but my last name is Kaczynski, as in Ted Kaczynski. I have no relation to him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe you should change it to Kaczynski. Add that extra W.
Maybe I will.
Go with Nathaniel's. Okay, but anyway, so I just thought that was pretty interesting. So Nathaniel Hawthorne is a huge figure in Salem history, and that is who the Hawthorne Hotel is named after.
Very interesting.
The history of the hotel itself begins in 1923 when a man named Frank Poor, which despite his last name being Poor, he was actually a successful businessman, and he was the founder of a lighting company that was very successful. So he was a rich guy, and he envisioned a modern hotel for the business traveler in Salem. That was his dream.
Luxurious.
Yes, luxurious modern hotel for the business traveler. So they get to it. Construction begins in 1924, so fairly quickly, and it opens just before the estimated completion date in July 1925. So it was a very quick process.
Yeah.
They knew what they wanted to do.
Quick turnaround.
I know. Unlike nowadays when it's like, it takes Disney World like 3 years to like open a ride.
Well, yeah, but I feel like Disney is not a great example because Disney details The amount of details in the Disney parks are like, I'm shocked it doesn't take them longer than that.
That was also such a weird comparison for me to make. But Disney versus like a hotel in Salem, Massachusetts.
Perhaps maybe the hotel down the street from our apartment that's been being built for like
since
2
before
years
you moved in.
Yeah,
it takes so long. But this one they were quick with. They knew how to do it back then, I guess. So it opens in July 1925. And it was a huge deal. There was a citywide parade, there was a flag raising ceremony, and a bunch of other old-timey festivities. The stuff that people did back then for fun. So it's a big deal. Everyone loves the hotel. And the hotel itself is 6 stories, and it is a colonial revival style building. And I'm sure we'll post it in the Instagram, but it's a very pretty building. It's very cute.
I did look it up. It's gorgeous from the outside, yeah.
So it originally featured 150 rooms, but since then, it's been remodeled, and now it has a total of 89 rooms. So I'm pretty sure they just, like, made the rooms bigger and made them be less rooms. You know?
Okay,
expanded. Like, instead of having 2 small rooms, it became 1 big room.
I have also heard that some of them have, like, the Jack and Jill bathroom.
Yes.
So maybe now they're considered adjoining rooms as well?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
That sounds right. So, in the 1950s, the Hawthorne Hotel briefly changed its name to meet the demand of the growing numbers of vehicles on the road. And it was actually called Hawthorne Motor Hotel for a while, which I thought was kind of weird, but apparently a lot of guests would bring their automobiles to the hotel at the time. I'm not totally sure why that would constitute a name change, but I think it's because the hotel wanted people to know that they would have a place, to store their automobile if they brought it. But I just thought that was so interesting.
I feel like what was it called? Motor Hotel?
Yeah, Hawthorne Motor Hotel.
I feel like it gives very 50s vibes.
Yeah, Motor Hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know where that came from. I was possessed by a 50s ghost. So they changed their name. It didn't last for long, though. It goes back to Hawthorne Hotel pretty soon, which we'll talk about. So then in the 1960s, this was just something that they noted on the official website, so I wanted to include it. I thought it was cute. In the 1960s, there was a dance teacher named Miss Harriet James, and she led a successful dance school inside the hotel, and every year they had their annual celebration in the Grand Ballroom.
Oh, that's so cute,
right? And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're probably going to be talking about the Grand Ballroom in a little bit.
I am.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add that in there. In the 70s, there was a super popular TV show called Bewitched, and they filmed their Salem saga, obviously in the town of Salem.
Yep.
And they filmed several scenes within the hotel, which is cool.
Do you know the most famous scene that they filmed
there?
So
I saw it was something with like an elevator.
Yeah, the elevator scene.
So, and I've been in that elevator.
Oh my god.
Nice. So, pretty cool stuff.
Before we move on, I actually have one little thing to say about that because I included it as part of my research and is like a little fun fact.
Yes.
But so the plot of Bewitched is a witch named Samantha, and she like masquerades as like a little mortal girl, and she marries a guy named Darren, and he makes her, once he finds out that she's a witch, like forswear her witchy magic. And this is the one, if you get confused between all the like witch shows, which I know I do sometimes, it's the one where she like twitches her nose.
Okay. I can't say I know it.
Okay.
I mean, I remember hearing about it in like the tours,
but they actually stayed in the Hawthorne Hotel for the duration of filming in Salem. And Elizabeth Montgomery, who plays Samantha, and her husband, William Asher, who's the director, they stayed in the most haunted room in the hotel.
Really?
And there's memorabilia from the show in the lobby and stuff. So that's like another thing that the Hawthorne Hotel kind of embraces.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, the whole town. I remember there's like a huge a huge statue of the main witch, Samantha, in like the town square or something in Salem, which is cool.
Because there was a little bit of like beef with the residents.
There was some sort of beef. I don't remember what
they
it was.
They didn't want them to film Bewitched in Salem because they thought it was like kind of tacky.
Kitschy? Okay, yeah.
And so instead of being like, hey, like we're actually just like gonna film this show, like it really has nothing to do with the fact that like the Salem witch trials, whatever. They put up a statue instead.
That's pretty funny.
It was just like, okay.
It's kind of petty, but also iconic in a way.
Anyway.
Funny. So, by 1990, the Hawthorne Hotel is going by its current name, the Hawthorne Hotel.
Lovely.
And a seance is held in the Grand Ballroom on the day before Halloween in 1990. And the goal of the seance is to summon Harry Houdini, who is a famous magician and naysayer of the supernatural. I feel like we talked about him. Maybe we were just talking about him.
I don't think it was on the podcast.
Okay, yeah, in a conversation.
But
yeah.
save that for me, because I'm going to talk a little bit about him later.
Yeah, so I'll save that for you, but all you need to know right now is allegedly the seance was unsuccessful. Like, I didn't see anything about there being anything spooky. But maybe you will tell us. Maybe you will tell us differently.
No, I think I'm going to confirm your suspicions.
So since you're confirming them, I, wasn't really surprised because to play devil's advocate, okay, if Harry Houdini did not believe in ghosts or the supernatural, and he's, dedicated a lot of his life to disproving the supernatural, and then the supernatural is real, wouldn't Houdini not want to come back? Wouldn't he want to, at least preserve and make it seem like it wasn't real?
Can I answer your question when I get to this?
Yes.
Because I do have a very definitive
some food
answer
for thought.
You.
Okay.
I do have a definitive answer for you.
Okay. So now we're going to move from the 90s all the way to recently, in 2015. There was a movie called Joy that was...
oh my god!
Have you seen it?
Yes!
I haven't, but...
It's such a good movie.
Okay, yeah,
It's the one with Jennifer Lawrence,
yes,
right?
Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, and Robert De Niro. So, 3 very famous actors.
Yeah.
And they shot a couple of different scenes at the Hawthorne, particularly in the ballroom. Do you remember if there's a...
I don't. I just remember watching the movie and knowing that I liked it a lot.
Okay, good to know.
It's the one where she invents the mop.
Where she invents the mop.
Yeah, in the movie she invents a self-ringing mop.
Oh, that sounds riveting. So they did film that a lot of it in the Hawthorne. Apparently all 3 of those actors also stayed in the Hawthorne for a while they were shooting it. So pretty interesting. It seems like a lot of the actors, I wonder if that's a thing, for actors, if you're shooting at a hotel to also stay there.
I'm sure it is.
It's kind of fun. I'm sure it's free.
Get into the mindset
of your character.
Yes. Method acting.
So this one...
Is that what method acting is?
First, it can be, yeah.
Okay.
When I think of method acting, I think of the Joker, Heath Ledger, how he lived in a hotel room alone and didn't talk to anyone for months or something.
That is The Dark Knight is one of my top movies of all time, but let's not talk about that right now.
We won't get it. I need to see that.
Maybe we'll do a Patreon series of just my favorite movies, because I do have a lot of movie recs.
And I feel like you have a very good taste in movies too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, moving on. So, going back to the hotel, I'm not going to get into this too much because you might talk about it, MK, but the hotel is allegedly built on land that was owned by a woman named Bridget Bishop.
I am going to talk about this
and as we know, she was the first person executed during the Salem witch trials, and she was accused by the usual suspects, that little group of girls, Abigail Williams and such.
Ann Putnam
Jr., etc. And also I thought it was interesting, she was actually the first woman to die from hanging in the colony of Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Wow, yeah, that is interesting. Tragic.
So just remember that this hotel is built on her land, because there are some things that might come up that will remind you of the land that was once hers.
Yes, there are.
So that is pretty much a brief history of the Hawthorne Hotel up till now. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the spookier side of things.
The hauntings.
Yes, so MK, if you would like to take it away.
I sure would. So the Hawthorne Hotel was named the 4th most haunted hotel in America by Travelocity in 2007.
Ooh, Travelocity.
We're starting out with a bang.
Yes.
Travelocity is coming in here, and they have
4.
confirmed that it is haunted. So you may be wondering why this is haunted, other than the fact that it is in Salem, Massachusetts, because it didn't exist during the witch trials. So people have speculated that 6 different spontaneous fires that have occurred seemingly for no reason in this hotel have either stirred up some paranormal activity, opened a portal, or they may have been possibly caused by a specter or a ghost.
I'm glad I didn't know this when I stayed there.
To me, I don't know if I believe that, because it pretty easily could be faulty wiring.
Yeah, they're just trying to like cover their asses. They're
Like, it's a ghost.
It was a ghost. So they don't get sued.
No need for OSHA. In the hotel, there is reports of typical ghost activity, moving furniture, unexplained noises. Like you said, it is thought to have been built on an apple orchard that was owned by Bridget Bishop. And if, like you said, she was the first person executed in the trials. But people will say that they smell the scent of apples.
That's a pretty pleasant haunting, actually.
I agree. I love the smell of apples.
I'd be fine with the ghost haunting me if they brought the smell of apples with them.
I agree. But because of this, apples are not served in the hotel so as to not interfere with that evidence. So they don't want people to think that it's coming from like the kitchens or like a fruit basket.
Okay.
So they try to like isolate apples from the hotel as much as possible so that if you do smell the scent of apples, you're like, oh, Bridget's around.
Ah.
Which is interesting. So they've really embraced it.
See, if it were me, I would have like a special
Appletini.
Yeah. Oh, appletini.
Bridget's
Yeah,
appletini.
Yeah, because like you can't smell apple liquor. That'd be fun. Be a Bridget's appletini.
That would be fun.
Hire us for marketing, Hawthorne Hotel.
That's that Fry Baby blog at work. But there's actually evidence that the orchard was under the Lyceum restaurant a few blocks away.
Okay.
But I Googled it today, and it's literally less than 0.3 miles away. From
this restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
The restaurant, the Hawthorne Hotel, is like less than a third of a mile away. So I feel like it could have been under both because that's really not like that huge of an orchard. Like, if you think of like a quarter of a mile, that's not huge.
No, it's
right?
small.
So anyway, I feel like both could be true.
I agree.
One of the most active parts of the hotel is the library in the basement, and it is a spot for high activity on EMF detectors, which we actually just bought.
Oh, these ones,
So we just bought an EMF detector for...
We might be having a little excursion
a little trip that we might be taking. But EMF stands for electromagnetic field detector, and it measures EMF fields, and it's typically used for detecting like faulty wiring. So again, this is my point that the fires may have been caused by faulty wiring. But paranormal experts also believe that it can detect disruptions in the electromagnetic fields caused by spirits or ghosts.
We'll see.
We'll see. Disembodied footsteps and flickering lights are also common down there.
Classic.
Workers will go and arrange like the tables down there neatly.
Okay.
And then leave for a minute or two, and they'll come back to them stacked in a pyramid.
In a pyramid?
Yes.
That takes skill.
Yeah. And that occurrence alone, it's not like super common, but it has happened a few times.
Okay.
Has caused several workers to quit on the spot.
I can't even blame them.
I
because
don't
that is
either.
There's something a little spooky about a pyramid shape.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
You can't explain that away with like the wind or something.
Exactly. That's pretty obvious that something is manipulating those tables. There's also a tavern inside of the hotel, and it's home to where the Salem Marine Society used to be.
Okay.
And there's a table in the corner that people have reported getting a very abnormally high EMF rating at. There's also on the wall a large captain's wheel, like from a boat, and it will spin on its own. And even when people stop it and then walk away, it'll start spinning rapidly again.
That's cool.
Which is, I think, really neat because if it's spinning that rapidly, you can't explain it by a gust or like uneven hanging.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think that's really neat. They also have antiques, like maps and charts, that are typically locked up. But sometimes when workers come back in the morning, they'll be like strewn around the room.
Ooh.
Almost like someone was trying to use them. Like the charts will be spread
mischievous.
out on the tables and stuff. Neat,
Creepy.
right?
I like how none of these are really like, I know I just said creepy, but none of these are like scary. They're kind of cute hauntings.
I agree.
Right?
There's no malevolent spirits.
Yeah, people are just living their lives.
That I came across. I think it's just some residual energy.
I agree.
So the third floor is arguably one of the most haunted. Room 325 is thought by some to be the most haunted. There's also some that debate that another room is.
Okay.
Lights will turn on and off by themselves. Guests will be kept up at night by a baby crying.
That's annoying.
And there's also, and this is like, honest to God, one of my greatest fears, people report having their feet grabbed when
You
they're
have
laying
said
in
that before.
bed.
That's so funny.
I hate that. Because there's a scene in The Conjuring where Joey
Yeah.
King gets like ripped out of bed by
Yeah.
something pulling her leg. That, I will forever sleep with my feet under the blanket because of that. It is so scary to me.
Well,
I
then
don't
don't
know.
visit room 325.
I'm good, yeah. And the bathroom faucets will turn on by themselves and like flood the bathroom. Like nothing serious, but
Okay.
like get a couple of inches of water
Okay.
on the ground.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. But this bathroom is one of the Jack and Jill bathrooms. So for people that don't know, the Jack and Jill bathrooms are when there's 2 bedrooms that are connected by a bathroom.
Okay.
So there's an entrance to one bedroom on one side, bathroom, entrance to another bedroom on the other side.
This is probably super dumb. I thought that a Jack and Jill bathroom was when there were 2 sinks on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Well, that's like where the name came from because Jack and Jill is like.
Oh, so one side is for the one room and one
Yeah,
side is
exactly.
for the other room. Okay.
So there's a story about a businessman staying in one room, and he goes down and he complains to the staff at the
Yeah.
front desk, and he's like, "You need to switch my room. Like the neighbors in the adjoining room are like really noisy, and they were turning the water on and off like all night." And they brought him up there, and the room was like completely made up. Like there was no one in that room.
Ooh.
Creepy.
Spooky.
The 4th floor is also said to be haunted, but there's no like specific occurrences,
Okay.
just like disembodied footsteps
Okay. Love it.
and lights flickering. The 6th floor though, that's where stuff starts to get real.
Number 6.
Yep. Room 628. There was a man who was staying there and left his keys on a desk and like went down the hall to like go get ice or fill up
Okay.
his ice bucket or something. And he came back and the keys were gone.
Oh.
And so he was like turning his room over for them, but he knew that he had left them on the desk because he had looked at them when he left the room.
That's so frustrating.
He went into like the bathroom or whatever, turned his back to the desk, and the keys reappeared on the desk. So that's like pretty convincing to me because I saw my keys when I was leaving, came back, they were gone, turned my back for a second, they were there.
I would chalk that up to my memory, though.
I don't know if I would though. Like I have a pretty decent visual memory, so if I remember seeing something somewhere,
You would
I
know.
trust my memory. Yeah,
I don't trust my memory.
I don't know.
that is freaky, though. Definitely.
It is kind of a weird haunting.
Yeah.
But
Mischievous.
exactly. So that's that, and the table stacking makes me think that there's maybe a poltergeist here. Because poltergeists, like we
Yes.
said, kind of get a bad rep because of the movie
Yeah.
Poltergeist. But they really are just kind of like mischievous spirits that like to mess with humans.
Little imps.
Exactly. Like
Yes.
they're fun. Peeves the poltergeist.
Yeah,
type
they just
beat.
gonna mess with you.
They like to prank you a little bit. They're not mean. They're chill. But there is the apparition of a woman who wanders the hallways of the 6th floor,
Always.
thought to be Bridget Bishop,
Okay.
and she'll often stop in front of 612 and stare at the door. And now this brings us to the other room that's hotly debated to be
Okay.
the most haunted.
So it's between 612 and 423?
and 325.
Oh. Oh my god, I was so off.
It's okay. So 612, residents will say that they feel like they're constantly being watched.
Ooh,
which
I
is
don't like that.
creepy. Like, you know, the hairs on the back of your
Yes.
neck stand up. And Bridget will sometimes enter the room if
Okay.
they open the door for the apparition. If the door like happens to be open
Okay.
when she like walks by, and she'll just check herself out in the mirror.
Good.
Like, same,
Go
girlfriend.
off, girl. Wait, I wonder what she looks like. Do they?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any like record of her. I guess that's probably why they don't know if
Yeah.
it's Bridget or not.
Yeah.
It's just thought
it's just
to
a
be.
woman. Yeah. Aw.
Which, like, checking yourself out in the mirror, I totally feel that because I can't walk by a mirror
Yeah.
or a reflective surface and not check myself
And it has
out.
nothing to do with like.
Being vain.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
I
just like I
want
want
to
to make sure I
see.
look good.
Exactly. What do other people see when they see me right now?
Our grandpa always used to make fun of us because they have a condo down in Florida where one wall is like completely mirrored, and every single one of like
we would just
the
like
grandchildren
stand there and stare.
we'll just like every time we walk by, like check ourselves out. But then I think that's just like an innately female thing.
It is.
You know?
I think that any human, I want to see how I feel. I want to make sure I don't have like a hair tuft out of place.
Exactly. You gotta make sure there's like nothing on your face.
We get it, Bridget.
I get it. You know what? You're chill. And now this brings us to the famous seance at the Hawthorne.
Yes.
So October 30th, 1990, the Hawthorne Hotel holds a seance in the ballroom area of the hotel to contact a famous figure, one Harry Houdini.
Mr. Houdini.
It is the 64th anniversary of his death.
Yeah, that's like so, like, why were they like, oh, like, you're 64.
Well, I'm going to explain this to you. And there's nothing significant about the number 64.
Okay, they just decided they wanted to have it.
Exactly. So, he's well known for his magic and disappearing acts and, like, you know,
being stuck in the water, handcuffed or whatever.
Exactly. And there's actually a very famous story that when he did come to visit Salem and he stayed at the Hawthorne, the police chief was like very skeptical.
Okay.
And he was like, what if I lock you in a cell? And he put him in like 3 sets of handcuffs and like 2 leg irons and like tied him up, blindfolded him, and put him in one of the cells in the Salem jail.
Okay.
And before you knew it, Harry Houdini like literally appeared behind the police chief who was watching the front door of the jail in his like from a window across the street.
Did he ever like explain how he did all that?
No. All of his tricks, so his tricks are all patented as one-act plays so that he never had to reveal his secret. Because if you patent a magic trick, you have to explain how you do it.
Okay.
And so he instead patented them as plays so that he never had to reveal his secret.
But how is it that it's 100 years later and no one has figured it out?
I mean, people have figured out some of his tricks, but like his greatest tricks are still unsolved.
Okay.
But
he's a cool guy.
So that's the whole magic part of his career. That's what people really know him for.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, there was a whole part of his life that he devoted to disproving spiritualist acts.
Yes, which is a weird hill to die on.
Well, not when you have the context.
Oh.
So he used his knowledge of sleight of hand to expose the trickery of mediums and psychics.
Okay.
And he actually testified in front of Congress in support of legislation that would criminalize anyone who faked a connection between, quote, the separated.
Good.
So
Good
people
for
still
him.
in life and people in death. Which I think, like you said, kind of a weird hill to die on. But if you are a medium or a psychic who's faking their abilities to make money off of these grieving people, you deserve to be prosecuted for that. So
exactly. You're right.
It's largely believed that his disdain for these type of acts originated from an experience that he had after his like very dearly loved mother departed.
Oh, I see. Okay, I do take it back that it's a weird hill to die on. So it's a normal hill to die on.
I mean, maybe not normal, but it makes sense once you understand this. So Houdini became a close acquaintance of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in around 1920.
Fancy names.
Do you know who Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is? Do you know what he wrote?
Conan O'Brien's great-great-grandfather.
Not quite.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
A very famous work, like series of works.
I know it's not Lord of the Rings. I know it's not Harry Potter. I know it's not.
This is 1920. So
I know. I'm just trying to think of
modern.
I'm trying to think of series. A series of unfortunate events.
No,
that was Lemony Snicket. I don't know.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Ring a bell?
Oh yeah. Whatever. Oh, that was so loud.
So, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was a big supporter of spiritualism, and he also had a wife named Jean who claimed to be a medium. But Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was recognized by like the literary world and like the popular view of the time was that he was a very rational man. So in Houdini's eyes, he's kind of like this anomaly because here you have this like rational man and brilliant writer who's also a huge advocate for spiritualism.
He's just trying to support his boo.
Exactly. A very supportive husband. So Jean offered to hold a seance with Harry Houdini in which she claimed to have been in contact with his mother.
Oh. Jean, you might not want to do that, girl.
So she is overtaken by the spirit of Houdini's mother, and she scribbles out like 5 pages front and back of like letters and notes for Houdini from his mother.
A manifesto.
Exactly. So Houdini, not wanting to offend Conan Doyle, like privately denied this instead of coming out to the public and being like, Jean is a fraud.
Okay.
So there were two things.
Wait, what did... Okay, sorry, I think you're about to say it.
2 things that made him think that this was not real. So first of all, the letters were all in English, and his mother did not speak English. They were Hungarian, so she only spoke Hungarian.
But couldn't a ghost transcend...
Exactly.
Language barriers?
So it's widely believed in, like, the spiritualist medium seance world that the astral plane has no language.
Okay.
So if you can communicate with anyone in any language.
That would have been cool, though, if she had written in Hungarian.
So his mother also, he noted, would not have signed her name on each page with a cross because they were Jewish.
Oh, interesting.
So, and that's something that Jean had done at the bottom of the page, signed his mother's name with a cross.
Okay.
So, Houdini didn't believe that this was real. He didn't believe in spiritualism. He was very adamantly and outspoken against it.
Okay.
But before he passed, he and his wife made an agreement that whoever died first would try to contact each other from the other side with a secret phrase.
Got it.
And so when he died, his wife went to several mediums, and she would always go in. She would be like, does he have a message for me? And they'd give her all kinds of BS, and she'd be like, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah. So, and none of the mediums were ever able to relay the secret phrase.
There's the answer. And this is what our conversation was about when we were saying that we were going to come up with a secret phrase for whoever dies first.
Exactly. I have one in mind. I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Because we don't want to expose it because then any mediums
listening will know.
But he died the day before Halloween. I'm sure everyone's heard the story how like a medical student punched him.
No, I actually didn't hear it.
So he...
I'm sure everyone has something.
Well, that's like a very famous thing is like Houdini died from like a punch to the gut. But it's like a lot more complicated than that. They like, I believe, hit his either kidney or his liver. And he got like some form of sepsis from it. Oh, wow. They really don't know like exactly what happened, but that's like pretty
Do you know how old he was when he died?
He was young.
Aw.
I don't know his exact age.
It's interesting how so many of like the super, super famous people
die so young. Yeah. I think maybe it might be just because we know them and like, you know, young people die every day, which is tragic, but when they're in the spotlight like that, I guess it hits a little closer to...
And when you hear about them and like you know they were alive in like the early 1900s, you just like picture them as like an old person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got you. So anyway, but he died the day before Halloween, so it's very popular to hold seances on Halloween or the day before to try and contact him. So that's why the Hawthorne Hotel was doing this.
Okay. I'm sure he would be thrilled.
Exactly. Which is like so ironic.
I know.
Because
it's like the one thing he stood against.
Exactly. It was not successful, but out of this did come an annual Halloween party at the Hawthorne Hotel, which is like this big gala of, you know, treats and dancing and music, and they hold it every year, and it sounds so fun.
I was gonna say, this sounds so fun.
I think we have to go at some point.
Yes!
This sounds like a trip that I would love to make.
We're gonna have to book our tickets now, since Salem is like insane this time of year.
I am so ready. We'll do it like in January when like...
Yeah, but I want to go to the ball.
Well, yeah, but we can't go. That's in 3 days, and we have a Halloween party to host.
I meant next year.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. We'll buy our tickets in January.
Oh,
when,
I think
all
we'll
the
go
buzz
in
has like died down about Halloween, and they've forgotten about it. No one steal our idea,
and then we'll get them for super
We'll get
cheap.
the cheap tickets.
Or we could go. We could abandon our Halloween party and go and like scalp. What's the phrase?
Scalp
tickets.
No, if we're abandoning our Halloween party for anything, it's that fact that in Connecticut right now, they are taking the artifacts from Ed and Lorraine's occult museum and they're bringing them to like a Mohegan Sun.
They're bringing them to a casino?
I don't think, no, isn't Mohegan Sun like a hotel? It might be a casino.
For some reason I feel
it sounds like a casino. But they're bringing them and they're like displaying them in like the conference
on
center
top of the slot
like,
machines. Next to the car mines.
You know the blackjack table? They're just putting Annabelle right on top of that. Shadow dolls hitting the slots.
That is scary.
But anyway, so that's pretty much it for the Hawthorne Hotel. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Totally the type of place I would not be scared to visit.
No, me either. This is kind of like the same as Gettysburg.
But even less
scary. So we might have to ease ourselves in with this before we visit like Lizzie Borden or
exactly, yeah. And like I said, obviously I didn't know like all of this when I stayed there, but like it wasn't scary. It was a very pleasant stay actually.
It seems very pleasant. It always smells like apples.
It's funny because once you were talking about the apple thing, I do remember my sister Ashley and I thinking it smelled really good in the lobby. I don't remember what we thought it smelled like. I'll have to ask her, but it was lovely.
Ask her before she listens to this episode.
Okay, I will.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny if you guys smelled apples while you were there.
I know. I'm gonna have to ask her, and I won't give her any context, so we won't be like cheating.
Good.
But yeah, this was very fun to research. I still think the Salem stuff is so interesting.
I do too.
We could do like 1 million episodes on Salem. It's so fascinating.
I don't know if we're gonna do 1 million, but this is just the first of our haunted places in Salem.
Yeah, because there's lots more.
There's at least 2 or 3 more
that we're gonna cover.
So
very exciting.
But yes, this was the Hawthorne Hotel. I don't think we're gonna have another episode out before this, so have a very happy Halloween, you guys.
Maybe in our next episode we can recap our party and like talk about our stuff.
We're having some of our college friends down. We're each
making college friends. I swear I have friends.
We're having some college friends down. Yes. My friends are your friends, and
Mikasa has 2 casas.
Exactly. Well, literally. We're both making like signature drinks and appetizers, and we've got some fun games to play. We're gonna do a murder mystery,
and we each like play a different character. We're so excited.
It's like that episode of The Office when they do Murder in Savannah. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing this weekend. That's how we're spending our Halloween.
Yes.
Other people are going out and like getting lit at bars, but
this is a
objectively
Halloween. More fun. Yes.
Do you want to tell the people what you're being for Halloween, or do we tell them next episode?
We tell them next episode. Okay. Because if we do like a recap.
Because then we can share pictures on Insta too, which I'm very excited about.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Well, we will talk to you guys next time. Don't worry, you won't have to wait too long. But keep checking out our Patreon because we're dropping episodes on there like it's hot.
Because it is.
It is hot. It's getting lit on there. We also actually...
Is that like your word of the day? Huh? Is lit your word of the day?
I say that word so much, and I know it's outdated.
No, it's never.
It is outdated, but you know what? It's okay.
It's lit,
While we were recording this episode, we did just get another Patreon. So, let me shout her out right now. Thank you so much, Molly. You are the best.
Molly.
That was so sweet.
Thank you, Molly.
So sweet of you. But anyway, have a very happy Halloween, and we will talk to you next time.
Creep it real, you guys.
Until next time.
Bye.